This story is brought to you by Kado Publishing. Super Suffragette, the story of Pura Villanueva-Kalaw from the Fantastic Filipinas series, written by Ceej Tantengco and Sabrina Schnabel. The Pearl of the Orientation, the world of the 1800s. 1869, the Suez Canal made travel to Europe much easier, 5 weeks instead of 3 to 4 months. 1876, the first telephone was patented by Alexandra Graham Bell. 1886, Coca-Cola was invented in America. And in most countries around the world, women couldn't vote. Suffragettes were women who advocated for the right to vote. Pura was born in Iloilo, a city by the sea. Her family attended lavish parties in graceful mansions. When she was born, girls were seen, not heard. But Pura's father had wanted a son, so he raised her the way other parents raised boys. She climbed trees, went on adventures, and read the books in her father's library. Pura was an outgoing and outspoken young girl, but other people thought Pura was unusual for a young lady. Many people still believed there were places only boys could go, things that only boys could do and be. Whenever Pura met other girls, she could see that they were just as smart, just as strong, and just as capable as the boys. They just didn't have the chance to show it. Girls could be inventors, artists, athletes, leaders. There was so much they could accomplish if they could just break through. Pura grew up and became a writer. She spoke her mind and won awards for her essays. But even though she was writing about her world, she didn't have a say in how it was run. In a democracy, voting isn't just a way to choose a president. Voting lets you express your opinions about the problems that affect you and your community. But women couldn't vote. Pura looked at her friends and realized that they could make their voices heard if they worked together. If they wanted the right to vote, they would have to fight for it. At 20 years old, Pura organized the Asociacion Feminista Ilongga. She was its first president. Their motto was, "What a man can do, a woman can do just as well." Pura wrote, "Women who had the welfare of their people at heart usually gave their energy, time, and money to social work. Their group of suffragettes used their energy, time, and money to persuade others that women deserve the right to vote. In 1907, they convinced a politician from Cebu, Filemon Soto, to take it to the Philippine Assembly. Pura traveled to Manila and sat in the gallery to encourage him. But when he presented it before the assembly, the others did not want to discuss it. Pura kept fighting. She knew it wasn't going to be easy to change people's minds, but she kept finding ways to spread the word. She joined the first beauty pageant in the Philippines and won Carnival Queen of the Orient. Like today, putting yourself out there helps more people hear your message. Pura's win helped her tell even more people why women should vote. Pura wrote about women's rights in newspapers, spoke at public events, and campaigned with her fellow suffragettes. She worked with many fantastic Filipinas who shared the same mission. Concepcion Felix, the founder of Asociacion Feminista Filipina, Rosa Sevilla, founder of one of the first women's schools in the Philippines, and Josefa Lianes Escoda, the founder of the Girl Scouts of the Philippines. No matter how many times they were rejected by the government, they kept trying. They convinced politicians to keep pushing, and more women's clubs were formed, and they went around the country to encourage women to stand up for themselves. Pura fought for the vote for 3 decades. She was already in her 50s when the government asked the country to vote on the issue. If 300,000 women voted in favor of suffrage, they would finally get the right to vote. Pura, along with the other women of National Federation of Women's Clubs, held their breath and hoped. Had they done enough? 447,725 women voted yes. Finally, Filipinas won the vote on April 30, 1937. In 1951, Pura received a Medal of Merit for her work as a super suffragette from the President of the Philippines, Elpidio Quirino. She would receive many more awards in her lifetime, from the National Federation of Women's Club, Outstanding Woman in the Field of Letters, from the League of Women Voters, Award in Recognition of Leadership, from the President of the Philippines, Champion of Feminism, and from the National Political Party of Women, League of Women Voters in Recognition of Leadership. But more than any medal, her legacy is that girls today grow up knowing their voices will be heard. Their vote will count, because Pura was right. Anything a man can do, a woman can do too. These are the fantastic Filipinas behind this work. Sabrina Schnabel is a historian and comedian who has worked for the National Museum of the Philippines and the Guggenheim in Venice. She was the research assistant of the late Carlos Celdran. Ceej Tantengco is a history nerd, journalist, and gender equality advocate. She received the Honorable Mention for Reporting on Women's Issues at the 2020 Society of Publishers in Asia Awards. Georgina Camus is the original illustrator for this work. She has been working in the creative industry since she was in high school. Today, she works as a graphic designer for a branding and design studio. Jemielou Reyes is a Kado publishing intern, illustrator, and artist. She has adapted this work into an animation. Alexandra Romualdez Broekman is the founder of Kado Publishing. She is a writer, entrepreneur, illustrator, and mother. She is the one reading the story to you today. Kado Publishing is a small-scale independent publishing house. As an organization, they focus on diverse, colorful children's stories written by Asians, especially Filipinos, for a global audience. If you are interested in purchasing Kado Publishing books, especially this one, it is available in paperback on the Kado Publishing website, on Amazon, and wherever Kado Publishing books are sold. With each purchase of the Fantastic Filipinas set, you are supporting a Girl Scouts of the Philippines community scholar for 1 year. The Girl Scouts of the Philippines mission continues to be to help girls and young women realize the ideas of womanhood and prepare themselves for their responsibilities at home, to the nation, and to the world community. Thanks for your support! This book was adapted from WhatsApp Araling Panlipunan Rebooted, a podcast that looks at Philippine history with fresh eyes, celebrating the weird and wonderful of what it means to be Filipino. WhatsApp is a Puma podcast production. Get it on your favorite podcast app or scan this code to listen to it on Spotify.